Hey guys, Kev here, and I just want to do my full review on the Kansept Knives Warrior. This is in the lefty configuration, and I've had this guy for about 2 weeks now. I did an unboxing video again about 2 weeks ago, and I think I'm ready to give my thoughts on it. Kind of my conclusions on what I think of it. Is it a good knife? Is it worth the money you pay? All that good stuff. So first, I want to get into how I got the knife and the company itself. Excuse me. So Kansept Knives is a company out of China. They've been around for, I'd say, about a year now, at least in the public eye. I think they started showing up with some models at the SHOT Show early this year. Maybe it was the last Blade Show. I can't be sure. And they are, I believe, one of the primary people who runs it is Kim Ning, who comes from Kaiser. He did a lot of designs for Kaiser. I think he was a big part over there. And he went off and kind of did his own thing now. I believe they use some of the same facilities in some cases. I don't know exactly how that works, so I don't want to speak on it too much. But I know that Kansept was kind of born from Kaiser employees. And they wanted to basically do a little bit of a premium touch on what Kaiser does. I guess kind of improve what Kaiser does a little bit, but still try to keep price points at a decent level. Because to me, when I look at Kaiser these days, you know, it's basically plain titanium S35VN frame lock flipper. I mean, that's the epitome of Kaiser to me right now. I don't have many Kaiser knives. I have the lefty sheepdog that I recently got, and I really do like that knife. But for the most part, when I see a Kaiser knife pop up, a new design, I kind of just go, oh, there's another Kaiser, you know, another plain tie flipper. You know, maybe they'll do thumb studs occasionally. So I'm not that intrigued by Kaiser, but when Kansept came around, I really was intrigued by it. Their original model was the Cryo. I think I saw it kind of like debuted on the Birdshot 4 channel or Birdshot IV. I'm not sure how you say that. And they had the Cryo models, and I was pretty intrigued by them. And then they started coming out with other models like the Shard, the Sprite, I think it's called, the Spirit, the Gremlin. I am very interested in the Kansept Gremlin. I think that's a gorgeous looking little EDC knife. I really want to get my hands on one. And I just wish they would make a lefty version. We know they make lefty versions. And I have tried to chat with them a little bit on Instagram. But it's a little tough. They don't really, you know, they get back to me occasionally, but it's not like we're having a big conversation or anything. But I have told them I would love to see more lefty models. They currently do not have any other lefty models other than the Warrior, but it sounds like they're going to be coming out with them. They asked me which models I would like to see in a lefty, and of course I said the Gremlin. And I also said the Pelican. They have a new model called the Pelican, which I believe is a, I'm not sure how you say his name, a K Maxron, something like that. Sorry. I see him on Instagram, and he came up with that Pelican model. I've seen a couple videos out there on, I think Stasa 23 has 2 of them now. I'm sure Carlos, shout out to Daily Carry Solutions, has a video on it, and I really do like that Pelican design. So I did say the Pelican and the Gremlin were ones I would love to see in a lefty configuration. Lefties out there, please leave me a comment. Hit me up on DM. Let me know what models you'd want to see. I'd be glad to pass it on to Kansept. Again, it's not like I have influence with them or anything. But I'd be glad to let them know what you guys think. So that's kind of how Kansept came about and what they're doing currently. And the way I got this knife actually was I chat with a buddy. His name is Ethan. I met him on the Reddit knife swap. I've spoken about this before. I'm really big on getting knives on the secondary due to limited quantities, things that are out of stock, popular knives, getting a better price on like new knives. So I really like the knife swap, and he's a fellow lefty, Ethan is, and we have similar tastes. So we've run into each other a few times, buying off each other, trading knives, and we just kind of started chatting on Reddit, and then we kind of started texting, and we just have become friends. And he's been a huge supporter of the channel, so I really want to thank Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. I really appreciate your support so far. He has a great collection of lefty knives, righty knives. He does mod work. He does his own mod work. I got the Ace Grand from him. We traded, and he took it apart. He must have polished it up because the action on that thing is phenomenal. So I have a lot of respect for Ethan. I plan on doing some content with him in the future, maybe having him on the channel and that kind of stuff. So he's a buddy at this point. And he told me about a Facebook group, which is called EDC for Lefties. It's a very cool group where basically anything EDC related that works for a lefty or is lefty specific, people will post on there, and it's just a cool community for us lefties because, all the normal kind of big communities and Facebook groups are, you're mostly looking at right-handed knives. Occasionally you get lucky and you have something with a reversible clip, but it's cool to have, this little group for us lefties. And Ethan told me about it, and he said there's a guy named Charles, and he is selling the lefty Kansept Warriors for a good price, and he has one. Ethan does, and he said it's a very good knife. You should check it out. It'd be good for the channel because it's lefty specific. So I went ahead and joined the group, which I'm glad I did. There's a lot of great guys in that community. And I reached out to Charles, and I asked him about the lefty Warrior, and he set me up, and I got this guy here, which is the black titanium with marbled carbon fiber model. This is gorgeous carbon fiber, you can see there. And I paid $178 for this one here. I've seen it on Blade HQ, I believe, for $250. And there's also a version with plain titanium, and then micarta, I believe it's green micarta down here. And that one was $175 for the lefty version. And I think on Blade HQ it was like $199. So either way, you're saving a good amount there. And I think Charles still can get a few. I believe they ship from Kansept, but he's kind of the go-between. I don't know the relationship I don't know how that works. But he's a great dude, and he'll set you up. If you're a lefty and you want to get your hands on one of these, check out the group, check out Charles, or reach out to me. I'd be happy to see if we can get you one. So that's how I got it. And then let's talk about the knife a little bit here. So what we have is a very thin design, at least this way. We have a thin design here with a, I'm going to call it a drop point. To me, I want to call it modified Tanto as well, modified Tanto, because what happened was when they made this model originally, the right-hand version, this was a Tanto, and right here there was a point, right? And then at some point they decided, well, why don't we make a drop point version, and we're just gonna round off that Tanto tip, and then it'll become a drop point. And that's what they did. So they offered it in the right-hand version in both a Tanto and a drop point with almost an identical blade shape. You just don't get the extra tip here. So I guess when they made the lefty version, they decided they wanted to go ahead and use the drop point version because you can't get it in a Tanto in lefty. So it's kind of your only choice in terms of blade. I think personally I would prefer to have the Tanto just because I'm starting to really get into Tantos. Right here I have my Chavez 229 Redención. I just got this guy. I posted an unboxing video the other day you could take a look at, and this Tanto is just absolutely gorgeous. This is the best looking Tanto that I've ever seen, in my opinion. And here we can do a quick blade comparison. So this is listed at 3.6 inches, and this is listed at 3.4, I believe. So you can see there's a slight difference. It's not that much bigger, the Chavez, but it feels like a substantially bigger knife than the Warrior does. I thought this was going to be a bigger knife, but it's not. I've heard it compared to the Benchmade 940, the Osborne. It's about the same size as that, almost all around, lengthwise, widthwise. I'd say the Osborne is a little bit thinner widthwise, but height-wise here, and then lengthwise. This is S35VN. You have a satin blade, so it gets fingerprints all over it. In terms of billboarding, you just have the Kansept logo. You have some serial numbers and a model number, which is very small. And then you have, you have a serial number and the steel marking on this side. Hoping you can see that. And then on this side, you have the Warrior, the name of the model. So, in terms of cutting performance, now this is a super thick blade. Somebody I follow on Instagram, or somebody commented on a picture I posted of this and said, for a crowbar, it slices very well. And I have to agree. This is a hefty, thick knife. I honestly don't know if I've seen blade steel this thick, but it looks like the Chavez is about the same width in terms of blade thickness. So, stock thickness. So, that tells you right there. This is a thick blade on here. I would basically agree that it's a crowbar, but it slices extremely well. This comes down to a very fine edge. I would probably have to guess that it's still pretty thick behind the edge. It's probably in the 20s, but it's razor sharp and it slices through paper, packaging. It slices very well, and not having that extra tip on there from the Tanto actually does help with cutting in some ways, because when you're slicing through the belly there, the extra belly kind of just helps you slide right through whatever it is, where the Tanto tip would probably change your direction, and then you have, the second edge there. So in terms of cutting, this is very good for EDC. It is a bit thick, but it's okay. You can get used to it. There's jimping right here. It's like half jimping. They only jimped on the sides, which is strange to me. But you still feel it, and you get a decent grip. It's not as grippy as normal jimping is, but that could be a good thing because sometimes jimping's a little too rough. So I'm okay with that. The ergonomics to me is one thing that I'm still not sure I like that much. I'm still debating. So you have the way the grip is set up, the handle's set up. You have this, this curve here. So that's where your index finger wants to go. And then you kind of wrap the rest of your hand around here, right? So you're in a choked back position and your finger lands right on the jimping, which that's perfect. So this feels good, but I'm the kind of person who wants to be up close to the blade and have a little control. So normally I would want a choil, a finger choil up here. Now what they did was they gave you this kind of flat spot. So when you want to choke up, you kind of just move your index finger up and then you drop your middle finger into that groove, and then the rest of your hand goes on the handle. So you end up like this, and now you're kind of choked up. You have more, control of the blade for some precision stuff. I think I would have preferred there to just be a choil up here, and then, I could drop this finger in here, drop this into the choil, and kind of really maximize that, that extra control. And with the blade that's 3.4 inches, you have the room to add that choil. But that's a personal preference. I'm a big choil guy. I would want a choil on almost any knife unless it was absolutely tiny. And even in those cases, the choil actually helps because you get a better grip. So that's kind of a personal preference thing. The action on this knife is phenomenal. It drops close. It's very good action. It's a guillotine. One other thing that I don't like very much is that there's nothing there to stop the blade from dropping. So normally on a flipper, you kind of knock over the frame lock and then the flipper tab hits you and then you can get out of the way and then drop it. But in this case, there's nothing there. So you just have to be prepared to get your nail in the way there and not be afraid of it. It won't cut you because it's hitting your nail, but you'll end up with this, I don't know how well you can see that. There you go. You'll end up with slicing on your nail, which to me doesn't matter. You can see my thumb is all messed up from flipping thumb stud knives and closing knives on my fingers. I'm always hurting myself with these things. So that's the action. It's good. The detent is also good. It's a strange detent to me. It's something I wanted to talk about. It's a very light detent, so I don't know if I can shake it out here for you. There you go. So see how easy that was to just kind of pop it out. But somehow I think it's because of how good the bearings are and how heavy the blade is. It's almost like no matter how little pressure you put on it, even with the soft detent, it just pops out. It really fires out. And normally you're gonna, give it some gas and fire it out, but you can even kind of do it slow and it just always seems to lock up. It is a hard knife to fail, even though it has that soft detent, but yet the kind of bonus to that, so in this case, I actually like the soft detent. I can roll this out without an issue. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You can easily thumb stud flick it out, but then you can also just roll it out. And some people like to do one, the other, or both. And in most cases, if you try to do that, if it had a stronger detent, you wouldn't be able to roll it out. You would kind of have to pop it out, and then your finger ends up on the blade, and then you kind of roll it the rest of the way with the blade, which becomes dangerous because you can end up cutting yourself. An example would be the Chavez here. I can't roll this out because the detent is too strong. And then if I were able to get it out, you see how it pops out like that? And then my finger ends up down here. So in this case, you have to just give it a good flick and shoot it out. So I do kind of like that. I like the detent, being able to roll it out and being able to flick it out. And then, of course, you can do the Spidey flick, which is usually how I open this knife. The thumb studs are pretty good. You can see how they kind of pyramid out. They step out like that. I have found myself kind of slipping off of them, like shooting over top. I think because that top pyramid is kind of small that sometimes you shoot right over it. But it's pretty rare. So that is the action, the thumb studs. The clip on here, you have a nice milled titanium clip. It is pretty deep. You know, you only have this much of the knife sticking up, which is nice. Retention's very good. This really pops in and pops out of the pocket with a smooth click. It doesn't tear your pockets up. It's a very well made, well thought out clip. The carbon fiber on here is marbled carbon fiber, and it is also very well done. You can see there, I can't see any voids or anything in this carbon fiber. It's very well done. And the transition on the front here, I almost can't even feel that transition. And for a sub $200 knife, that's amazing. Now on this side, you can feel it, but that's because you have that bolster lock there. I did think it was a little strange of a decision for them to have the carbon fiber go all the way up like halfway like this. It's almost like a half bolster. Usually you'll see it where, you know, it goes up a lot farther. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. There is a lanyard hole there in the back spacer. It's a titanium back spacer. So you lanyard guys out there, you have something to put your lanyard through. I do not use lanyards, so it's not my thing. The finish on the titanium is very good. The black anodization, I don't see any wear on it or anything. So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on this Lefty Warrior here. It's a very good option for you know, somebody who's left-handed and wants a lefty-specific knife. In the long scheme of things in my collection, I think this will stick around because it's lefty-specific. But I'm not that in love with it that I'm going to be carrying it all the time. It's probably just going to end up going in the knife case, and it'll get pulled out, you know, once a month or so to go in pocket. That's probably how it's going to go, or when I think of it, or you know, then I'll take it out. So it's not like the best knife ever and you got to run and get one. But it's not, you know, the worst knife ever. It's a good knife. And if you're looking for a lefty specific knife that's a thumb stud opener, that has very good action, has a very sturdy blade, if you plan on doing some work with it too, you know, if you like to roll your knife out and play with it that way or flick it out, it's a very fidgety knife. So it is a very good knife overall. I could definitely recommend it to lefties for $175-ish. This is definitely something you can't go wrong with. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a fantastic day. Oops, see? I rolled right over it there. Stay sharp.